Hey everyone. Before we get to these 3 movies, I
didn't have to see 3.
I saw 3.
I just saw one that was a part 3.
True. 3 is in there somewhere. The finale of Lloyd was posted earlier today, so if you want to see episode 6, the finale of Lloyd, which is a Chatterbox parody, go check that out, please. I would definitely. You got to see it, man.
Let's go down on a high note.
Yeah, Patrick Gertz from Double Toasted plays the voice of the, So go check that out. It's on the site. It's on our YouTube channel. I would really love to do more with this series in the future. So watch it and share it and pass around the series to friends and everything.
After having an animated anthropomorphic cat vagina talking, I mean,
where does it go from here?
Yeah, I mean, it's all been leading to this.
He still has way more cases that he can solve that don't involve talking vaginas.
That's a world I don't want to live in. They should all involve that from now on.
All right, so to get to these 3 movies here, I posted up earlier. I was like, all right, it'll be probably around 11:45 or so that the midnight screenings will start. And
Jesus Christ, you hit that on the head.
Oh wow, I actually did.
There's a clock down here.
So I said, all right, I'm going to be at Downsizing, Father Figures, and Pitch Perfect 3. Matthew Buck responds to me and just goes like, that's grim. He said something like, that's the grimmest triple feature since I was stuck on a plane with How Do I Know, Gulliver's Travels, and Little Fockers.
Oh God.
Well, the better one of the 3 that I saw here was Downsizing, which was the first one that I saw, which is it's the Alexander Payne movie where, have you seen the trailer for this at all?
I've seen some stuff about it. I don't know if I've seen the trailer, but I've seen some stuff about it. Like I got the general gist of it.
Yeah, it seems like it's probably about 15 years in the future, provided that the opening scene takes place in the present, because it's showing these scientists and they've created this thing which will like save the environment and curb like overcrowdedness and waste and things like that, and this thing that the scientist has created is to basically shrink people. So then it flashes forward about 15 years and now there are tiny societies in different places throughout the world, and people choose to live there because the funds that you have in the larger world translate into basically millions when you shrink down and enter these very like rich posh societies. So if you have like, if you have like maybe like 50 grand or something saved up, or probably even less than that, like something like that would translate to about 12 million. So Matt Damon is married to Kristen Wiig, and they're both like broke, and they both work like shitty jobs. He still lives in the same house that he grew up in, and he and Kristen Wiig live there together. So both of them decide that they're going to go through this shrinking procedure, live in a mansion in this tiny world and everything, and life will be great and all. And so once they go through this process, he shrinks down. Again, they shrink down to about like 5 inches or something like that. So he shrinks down. Only before the whole like process happens, she decided not to.
Bitch.
And honestly, I was watching it like I am kind of on her side here. Like I can see this. Like I can buy this, because like she brings up points like, she has to say goodbye to her friends and her family and this life that she basically has to leave behind. Yeah, she's not technically dead or anything like that, but
like you can still Skype with people, but if it's like, hey, let's go to the mall, it's like, cool, I live in tiny town though.
Yeah, they carry him around in like little like bulletproof boxes and things like that. Although I don't think they ever addressed what happens if they fall, because I guess if you're that light and you were to fall off a table or something, would you be fine? I was trying to think of that in my head. There were several things I was thinking of in my head.
I guess it all
this.
depends on like what style of sci-fi physics you're ascribing to.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, if you know, like you're just like you're that size and your mass and your density change. Like, well, yeah, I guess you know you would still fall pretty normally. You'd probably be like the weight of like an action figure or something, I would assume.
Yeah.
Unless you're going by like the tiny physics they had in like Ant-Man, where you maintain your original density and mass, but you're just tiny sized, so you'd hit the ground like a goddamn wrecking ball.
I'm like, is this like if an ant falls off the table or something and they're fine? Like, you know,
well,
like,
they have an exoskeleton.
well, you know, I mean,
tiny Matt Damon. Well, Matt Damon in this movie doesn't have an exoskeleton.
well, I mean, like,
like if Matt Damon in like Elysium got shrank and then fell, I mean, he'd still have terminal cancer. Yeah. So that's grim.
Well, like, you know, like, they're like maybe the size of a kitten, and then if a kitten falls off the table, it just doesn't. Whiskers, no. Like I was trying to figure out like how they like built certain things in this society, like cars and stuff like that, and like had.
Would they just have to be shrank too?
No, because they can't shrink anything else out of it because they had to take their like fillings out or something like that. And
so it only works on like organic matter?
I believe so. It could be going through Terminator rules, sort of. If you were, if the time machine also shrunk people. No, wait. I mean, like, because, yeah, all right, yeah. Even now,
so if you've got like, oh man, like I fell in high school and had to get pins in my leg. It's like you can't.
They bring that up in the movie. Like a guy couldn't do it because he had like a fake hip or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But I guess that still works in Terminator rules. You just can't bring through weapons or clothes. I don't know how much that makes sense either.
So what you're saying is that when Kyle Reese went back in time, he totally could have brought a gun with him if he swallowed it first.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that you only think about in Terminator Genesis because you have a shitty Kyle Reese.
Who was
Jai Courtney.
Okay, I thought that was.
Yeah, there was him in that.
Let's find somebody that looks exactly like Michael Biehn. Oh, I know, Jai Courtney.
Oh, did you say Michael Biehn? I thought you said Arnold Vosloo.
Well,
so the two of them end up divorcing, and she appears to take most of his money. Like, she's not in the movie anymore after this. And so he's now living away from his mansion and in this apartment complex where he lives below Christoph Waltz, along with Udo Kier, are basically the two wild and crazy guys. Like, they're having all these like 70s drug parties and everything like that. Like,
well, that makes sense if you're living
below Christoph Waltz and Udo Kier. Udo Kier acting like he's still hanging with Andy Warhol. Like, that was actually really cool seeing those two act opposite each other, because now I know they're not the same person.
But it definitely sounds like Christoph Waltz was a Christoph Waltz character, and Udo Kier was an Udo Kier character.
Yeah, they are the best parts of the supporting characters. Really are the best parts of this movie. The movie it's original, I'll give it that. And some of the things that they do are cool. It's cool looking at things like fire in the background that looks a little bit different because they're that small. Same with water. Same with like looking at flowers and stuff like that. Like, stuff like that's cool in the movie. And the plot of it is sound. It's an Alexander Payne movie, so it's well made, and it even had some really quirky, funny moments in it and whatnot. It's one of those movies where the least interesting person in it is the guy that we're following, because really, like, you have Christoph Waltz in this movie, who appears to be in like the smuggling business in this town, who's like importing in illegal cigars and stuff like that, and he's this swinging 70s club guy. Like, there's girls in afros in there. One girl looks exactly like, you remember the bald-headed black girl from House on the Edge of the Park?
Okay,
There's like a girl like that in there. I'm like, okay, like I like this. I like what's going on here. There's even Matt Damon's love interest in the movie is this Vietnamese woman who has a wooden leg because she smuggled herself in through a big screen TV box in which everyone else who was in there with her died except her, and then she lost her leg. Like, her story is a lot more fascinating.
I can only assume that Udo Kier is in there as part of some horror film that's happening opposite everything else.
Yeah, there seems to be like a lot more interesting stuff going on here. There's even this cult run by the guy who created this system, who runs this like hippie commune because they think an extinction event is going to happen. The movie it goes a lot of
all of this happening. And Matt
Damon. And the guy we're following is Matt Damon, who has some good lines in the movie, but is really just kind of a guy. Like, there's nothing really that interesting about him except he had a bad divorce, I guess, and it's not like he starts out this movie as an asshole. Not at all, but where this whole movie is leading is like, there's not really an arc here. It's just like this. It's just like maybe a little bump. There's not really an arc. It's just like you have to go through all these things, this shrinking process, this cult, this extinction event, to, I don't know, by the end he realizes that poor people exist. I like, the end of it shows him feeding like the less fortunate, and I'm like, this seems like something he might have done at the beginning of the movie. Like, he's not playing Ebenezer Scrooge at the beginning of this.
So this whole thing is basically, he got shrank down and all this stuff, but if the plot had been, oh, he's just moving to like Modesto, it would have been perfectly the same. Like, it would have been no changes to this film.
Yeah. Honestly, like,
it's like, babe, I got everything in the U-Haul. Actually, I'm gonna stay.
Yeah.
And then he just has to move and lives in a shitty apartment. It's like,
and then he moves to, like, I don't know, the town from Edward Scissorhands, I guess, or that's part. What was the name of that rich community from Land of the Dead? Like, I keep wanting to say Forest Green, but that's Friday the 13th, Part 6.
I know what you're talking about. I cannot think of the fucking.
But the movie wasn't that bad. Like, it certainly has an interesting premise. There's some fun side characters and stuff going on in there. It was easy to lose interest after a while because this movie is long. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Why?
I don't know. Like, a couple of things I didn't know going into this. I didn't know it was going to be that long, and it really does feel it, especially for a movie that kind of goes nowhere. And also, I think I realized by about the 12th dick I saw in this movie that was like, oh, okay, so this is an R. No, it's original. I'll give it that. Like, it's certainly ambitious. It's basically pretentious Ant-Man. It's like, that's kind of, it's
perfect. As a character, I could always see Matt Damon play.
Yeah. Like, Jason Sudeikis is in this movie too, like, briefly. Like, he's like a friend who he knows there, and then he kind of just drops out of the movie. And I was sitting there like, I'd kind of rather see Jason Sudeikis in the lead role of this film, because Matt Damon wasn't really bringing that much to it.
I'd kind of like to see Jason Sudeikis as pretentious Ant-Man.
Yeah, he could do it, man. Yeah.
I mean, come on. In the comic books, there was a third guy who played Ant-Man, Eric O'Grady, and he was in a book called The Irredeemable Ant-Man because he was just a total douchebag.
Jason Sudeikis.
Right? Fucking perfect.
You shrink down his character from We're the Millers.
You just shrink down and spy on Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
So I would say it's It's worth a rental. Honestly, maybe if you even saw it for about $5, it's not a bad movie at all. I'll at least give it points on originality. I'll give it points that it's a well-made movie. It could be a lot better than it is. It is. It's being put out at this time of year to have something quirky and original, and who knows, maybe it might get some award recognition or something like that just for being kind of like this quirky little movie that's out there right now. And in that regard, it's just kind of middle of the road. It is not like the fall on your face train wreck as like Collateral Beauty last year or something like that. It's maybe as pretentious as that fucking movie, but it's not as fucking mean or cruel as that fucking film.
It's like, oh man, if we could have like something like Dan in real life, but maybe he's tiny.
He's gonna drown in pancake syrup when he does the poster.
Oh god.
Then I saw Father Figures. So go figure, the movie with one of the worst trailers of the year, with easily the worst poster of the year, is kind of bad.
That poster is just a Photoshop nightmare.
Look at the poster for this fucking movie.
Look
seriously.
at Glenn Close on that poster and then try to fucking sleep tonight.
It looks like that. The poster looks like that scene in 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag where he opens the bag and there's all these severed heads looking up at him.
Glenn Close looks like that scene in Old Dogs where they all take that fucking heart medicine or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
End credits.
I forgot about that shit.
Hey, you're welcome.
Okay, maybe Father Figures wasn't that bad because I'm now thinking about Old Dogs. Hey, there's a possum. He's on his 4th movie of the night.
Yeah, I feel you, buddy.
It's alright, I played dead during Father Figures as well. So I don't know, like, look, all you need to know about this fucking movie is that
for some reason it doesn't have Vince Vaughn in it.
You know, I was thinking that going in until Ed Helms started playing his role as Ben Stiller. Like, okay, it's that Owen Wilson team up. All right. So they find out from Glenn Close. They've lived 40 years and have thought their dad was dead. And then they find out he's not. But because she was kind of a swinger back in the 70s, they don't know who their dad is. So they go on this road trip to... Look, you've seen this kind of movie before, man.
I just have to ask up front, does it turn out they have 2 different dads?
No.
Because I do not buy that those 2 are even remotely in the same family.
I'll do you one better. They're twins.
Of course they are.
They are twin brothers in this film, which is kind of...
I believed it more when it was fucking Greg Kinnear and Matt Damon playing twins.
Siamese twins. Story-wise, I understand why they went that route, considering how much of a swinger Glenn Close's character was back in the day. It would almost make sense that for this plot to work like this, they'd almost have to be twins to buy that they'd even have the same father. So...
Julius, I'm your twin.
Ooh, I like nuke food. So, man, I wish I was watching Twins. So, you've seen this kind of movie before. It'd be like if, you remember that movie Father's Day with Billy Crystal and Robin Williams? Just
vaguely.
Imagine that with dick jokes. Only imagine if Dennis Dugan got the script to Broken Flowers and scribbled crayon and pissed on it. That's this fucking movie. Like, here's all you need to know about this fucking thing. It sets it up in the opening scene. The first thing we see in this movie is, since Ed Helms is a proctologist, his hand is up a guy's ass. And then he says, "Oop, found your car keys." And the guy says, "You should buy me dinner first." And Ed Helms is like, "Haven't heard that one before." Smash cut to title. Father Figures. Whoa, movie, you really set me up there.
Whoa. Slow down.
This is a movie where, for no reason, it's got a scene where Owen Wilson is in a bathroom and he's talking on the phone and a little kid starts pissing on him, and the dad, who is behind the stall, says, "The only thing that'll stop him is if you piss back on him." So Owen Wilson and this like 6-year-old kid are pissing on each other for like a hot minute. Ed Helms walks in, slowly closes door. Here's a scene that it actually tries to get dramatic towards the end.
Oh, yeah, no, do that one.
Yeah, it with tears, with tears, characters
You've
crying.
earned these emotions.
That happens mere minutes after they're in a veterinarian's office, who's Christopher Walken, and they take a pause to oogle this cat's giant balls, because this cat is on an operating table and he's gassed, so he's got giant testicles, like fucking huge. And so the movie stops to look at that and comment about that, and then try to have this dramatic fucking scene. Which I'll be honest, like, this movie does have good actors in it. So I'll be like, alright, like, if you were to just look at the scene at the end, just by itself, no context with anything else, just by itself, it's Glenn Close telling this actually very dramatic story about where they come from. It's kind of the equivalent of, with the stupid jokes they have in there, it's like the equivalent of In the Room, when Greg Sestero had that story about the woman who was beaten and sent to the hospital, and then Tommy Wiseau goes, ha ha, what a story. Like,
it's like, wow, you misread the room there.
Yeah. So, this movie, here's the weirdest thing to me about this movie, because this movie it's ass. It's total ass. Like, you have several scenes where characters say to the two guys, like, oh god, your mom was so good in bed. Man, those titties. Oh shit, she was like a dick whisperer. She knew how to whisper to dicks. And they're like, that's our mom. Oh, it does that a lot.
It did that like 10 times like in the trailer that I saw.
Oh, with that one scene with Ving Rhames where that's the only scene he's in this movie, by the way. He just
stopped by for his paycheck.
Yeah, that's the only scene he's in. You know what the weirdest thing about this movie is? It is not poorly shot. You would think it would be.
I was waiting for, especially after the Ving Rhames part. It's like, you know what the weirdest part is? This is in canon with Mission Impossible.
No, I'm pretty sure that's the movie we saw. But yes. I was looking at how this movie was shot. Like, yeah, there's a lot of times where it, just looks like this raunchy comedy that's out right now. But when there are scenes that are like really dramatically lit, like there's a shot of Ed Helms near the beginning that's like his face, he's turned, his face is kind of shadowed in silhouette with like some darkness behind him. There's a part later on where a train hits their car and the camera's kind of down and looking up, and Ed Helms is standing there with fog around him and things like that, and comes to his knees. They do some really dramatic cinematography later with like leaves and stuff in the background, and I'm sitting there like, who shot this movie? And I looked it up, and the same guy who shot this movie also shot The Sum of All Fears and The Serpent and the Rainbow back in the day.
What the fuck?
Like, he has done some comedies too and some TV work, but I'm like, it's got to be like drama or thriller somewhere in this cinematographer's background. And there is. He also shot Money Train.
So this is just like, he just caught work and was like, fuck it, I'm still gonna bring my A game.
Kinda. Yeah, like, I was noticing it in this movie. I'm like,
we need to block out this dick joke. Like, hold on. Could you lower this and angle some lights in here? Give me a yellow. Perfect.
The tearful...
Like, no, it's just a dick joke. Like, no, it's okay. Cue the fog machine.
Yeah, the tearful revelation at the end looks like a scene out of Parenthood. This movie was no good, man. It really wasn't. If you want to see this same plot, there was that South Park episode where, because it does the same thing, where these guys think one guy is their dad. It turns out he's not, but he leads them somewhere else. They think this person's their dad. He's not. That leads them to somewhere else. Like, they think Terry Bradshaw is their dad. Then they think it's J.K. Simmons is this crazy, like, former Wall Street guy who now, like, steals cars. I don't know, man. Like, it's bad. I mean, skip this shit. Like, you could honestly, like, this movie is almost shot in a way like it's daring somebody to take scenes and shots from it and edit like a thriller trailer. Like a dramatic, like to make it look like a drama. Because you probably could. You probably easily could.
It sounds like with some of the shots, it's like, yeah, you could make this like a very like serious, like very like touching trailer or something out of this. As long as you avoid the cat balls, I guess.
The cat balls and all the shit that came before it, man. I don't recommend this. I don't recommend this fucking movie. You know what? If you see the trailer for this movie and you liked it, you will probably like this movie because it's the same caliber of joke that's in the trailer. Honestly, maybe it'll surprise you because it's a fairly well shot movie. But if you thought this movie looked like shit from the trailer, guess what? You're not going to like it either because this movie is shit. It's total fucking garbage.
Yeah, I looked at that, I'm like, this is nothing I need to see.
Would you rather see this or the movie we just saw? Why don't you go into Pitch Perfect 3 since I was talking about these other two?
Were the seats better at...
Oh, yeah.
Because, okay, so Pitch Perfect 3, let me set the scene here. Neither of us have seen Pitch Perfect 1 or 2.
Nope.
So, there's that.
Mm-hmm. Up until 2 hours ago, I didn't know I was seeing this movie because it was originally you and Irving, but Irving like forgot he had to dog sit or something like that. So I text Laura and I'm like, I'm at 3 movies tonight.
Damn, I've never tried using forgot to dog sit before. Remember that?
Remember it when Pitch Perfect 4 comes out. Sorry, go ahead.
It's like, oh shit, I got a dog sit for Dave and Sarah. Yeah, no, they're home too, but
I like that you would say that you have a dog.
Like, what about your dog? Fuck. So, we went into this kind of cold because at random times they start unpacking a lot of backstory that I have no fucking idea about. People kind of coming and going there towards the beginning. Yeah, just a lot of stuff already set. Like half the jokes in this thing feel like there's required reading to understand them. Like the whole Haley Steinfeld's, like she gets yelled at by Rebel Wilson all the time for being an idiot. I don't know why. I honestly, there's nothing at all that sets that up. Like, I guess I missed that.
Here's the thing, though. I really wasn't paying that much attention.
It was hard to, because... Alright, so... I pull into the theater here, like, right at time for the movie. And I look at the parking lot, and it is fucking packed. But my thought is, oh, well, this is, like, right before a fucking big-ass holiday weekend. Fucking people coming in from out of town. Star Wars just fucking came out last week. I'm like, there is every chance that every car here is for Star Wars, and I was mostly wrong about that. And I mean, we were in one of the smaller of the auditoriums.
Oh yeah, they put us in there. But yeah,
we were standing like right outside the auditorium doors, and we saw like one girl walk in. And I was thinking to myself, well, I don't even hear any fucking noise coming from inside there. Like, this, okay, well, this is probably going to be pretty easy. And then we start walking in, and I see, you can just barely see, like, the corner seat and, like, the front part of the seating. And I saw a guy sitting there. And I'm like, why the fuck is somebody sitting down here?
I can't lie. I started worrying when I saw that.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like, nobody picks that seat.
Yeah. I was worried, too.
And then as soon as we got in there, we turn and look, and it is just packed. Just every goddamn chair the entire way up. The only spot that had 2 seats next to each other, even remotely close to each other. Front fucking row, like down and like... So we spent the entire movie just uncomfortable as fuck.
It sucked so hard. The screen is about as far from the front seats as like this fucking camera is from us right now.
Yeah.
Like it is impossibly fucking close in there. And
we had like the angles and the proportions of everything are just...
Oh, he was taking pictures.
Skewed like crazy. Like I put a couple up on Twitter already. And
yes.
I grabbed
Look him up on Twitter and
I
look at
grabbed
these.
some more. I'm gonna put those up later. The movie looked just absolutely fucking insane from where we were sitting.
It looked like we like dropped movie acid, you know, like that's how weird the proportions and everything were from where we were sitting. And honestly, like I was kicking myself when we went in there because it's totally my fault that we were stuck up there because I had about a half hour between the two movies. And I honestly, it didn't even occur to me like that it would, I should have known. I mean, the first two movies have a huge fan base. They did insanely well when they were in theaters. And I saw that it was in one of the smaller screens in there. I should have fucking thought, like, fuck, I should have gone in there and put my coat down or something.
I didn't even fucking think about it, because it's a 9:45 show.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of figured it would have been thinned out a little bit.
Like,
but no, so
oh no, and plus we go in there, look, we are the furthest thing from the demographic of this fucking film, so we walk in there like, hey fellow teenagers.
We're hip, right, guys? we know all this here. Glad this whole movie's plot centers around DJ Khaled as himself.
That person was a real person.
Yeah, he's a real person.
See, you know more about this shit than I do. Like, goddamn, I don't know anything about this shit. I didn't see the first two movies. I know that the first two movies they certainly have a fan base. Sarah and Dave like the first two movies a lot. Laura hates them because when we got the trailer in front of I think Star Wars for Pitch Perfect 3.
She started vomiting horribly.
No, this is pretty funny. Dave, I'm sitting there like, oh, this looks like shit. And Dave goes, well, I really like the first two. Laura leaned over and looked at him and went, ew.
Leans over and is like, we're not friends anymore.
I don't like you anymore. I hope this is the last one because they're running out of words to put the word pitch in all the fucking posters. Like, Pitchmas? Really? I forgot the real word is Critchmas. So
that's not how you pronounce it.
So I've actually been in a lot of pain this week because of my neck and back. I don't know what I did to it, but I fucked it up so bad. This movie is not only bad, it was physically painful for me to sit through this shit.
I noticed that you kept moving around a lot.
That's why.
But again, like, we were at the worst angle. Like, I was...
Yeah.
Like, most of my body was not on the chair. Like, the small of my back was resting lightly against the seat, and then the rest of me was just at a horrifying angle to cram my neck down so I could see the screen.
I don't need to be this close to Rebel Wilson saying, I'm fat Amy Winehouse. That's all her lines in the fucking movie.
Oh, and it's great because whoever filmed this one is definitely not an award-winning cinematographer.
Oh, are you sure? Because it had some of the same action sequences from Blubberella with the sausage nunchucks.
Oh, I had fucking forgotten about that.
Oh yeah, by the way, it's an action movie now.
Were the other ones?
No, I know that much about the other two.
Are there choreographed fight scenes in the other movie?
This movie is in the fucking Fast and the Furious universe. What they don't... Okay,
It's in the fucking John Wick universe, too.
Yeah. The movie starts like you'd think a movie like this would, especially a third entry of a movie like this, where they've all gotten back together, this a cappella group of theirs, and they're going on this USO tour.
To be fair... It starts with a cold open with them singing Britney Spears' Toxic right before a yacht explodes. Cut to 3 weeks earlier. Like, what the fuck just happened?
It is in the John Wick universe, because John Wick did the 24 hours earlier or whatever in front of it. Okay, now... I don't know how to describe this movie. I don't even know if what I saw actually happened, or if it was just that we were sitting that close. Why is this movie... It would be like if you were watching Mighty Ducks 3, and then halfway into it, it turned into Toy Soldiers with Sean Astin. So, John, what they don't show... Okay, now they do show some of the action-y bits in the trailer, such as the yacht exploding and the sausage nunchuck fight, which is the 1000th fat joke in the movie.
I have to say, I was surprised that she didn't take a bite of it.
Yeah, I am too.
They were really setting it up that way.
I am too. Earlier, she says in the movie, like, "Oh, it's okay. I know Italian, ravioli, and other Italian foods."
Perfect.
Not only does she have a line where, okay, because the rival band, they have names like Chastity, Calamity, things like that, and then Rebel Wilson says, "If I was in your group, I'd be Obesity, and in case you didn't know she was fat, she's wearing a hat that says Make America Eat Again." And you find out she has a lot of money, and by the end of the movie she goes, "I could do fat all sorts of things. I can be fat Amy Winehouse, fat Amy Grant. That'll be good come Christmas time." Oh my god. Oh my god with this shit.
You know, because that's a thing that I love about characters, when they have one thing they do.
Yeah.
It's like, that's part of the reason why, like I fucking hated Ralphie May's comedy.
I was not that familiar with it.
It's big sloppy fat guy.
I mean, I know who he is. I just didn't see him a lot, really.
All of his fucking comedy was just like, yeah, I was fucking this girl and I broke her back because I'm fat. I'm like, cool, man. It's like every fucking joke was about how fucking big of a fat piece of shit he was. I'm like,
oh god,
I give a shit. I can't. It's the same with like Gabriel Iglesias. Like I can't stand that. Like, it's like, oh, I'm a big fat guy, so my jokes are fat guy jokes.
He was the only thing I liked about Haunted House 2.
Well, he couldn't get Bernie Mac back.
I didn't see the first one.
Or no, was he in that one? No, that was Cedric the Entertainer. I don't know.
Oh, he was in the second one, I think, because they do a whole like Last Exorcisms Part 2 spoof.
Yeah.
You know, in this, so what this movie doesn't show you in the trailer is that the villain, in full-on 90s action movie villain mode, is John Lithgow as, like, the second cousin to his cliffhanger character. Like, you know what? If there was some enjoyment I got out of this, it was... I haven't seen John Lithgow go full-on movie action villain in a while.
But yeah, no, it definitely was, like, 80s, 90s action movie villain. Because, like, he's fucking preposterous. He's got the most insane Australian accent I've ever heard.
Grabs Rebel Wilson and says, "I'm gonna get that money." Oh, he's her dad, by the way.
But at times, though, like, when he gets worked up, like, the accent just completely vanishes. And it just sounds like Jonathan Lithgow.
He is weirdly putting, like, a lot into this. Like, it looks like he's having fun playing, like, this 90s action movie villain where there should not fucking be one. But whatever, he's here. A lot of scenes with him, gold watch, like, "You have 4 minutes before I start killing you girls." There's a kidnapping plot. He kidnaps them to force Rebel Wilson to go to the Caribbean with him because of a bank account in which her mother and I guess his ex-wife have given her $180 million. So he wants $180 million from her.
So he can keep living on his gigantic yacht named the Fat Dingo Bitch.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I forgot about that. Why does he name it that? Like, whatever.
Are there plot moments from the first two where it hinges on the fact that, like, she's estranged from her father, who's apparently an international crime lord.
It seems like she was prepared for this day to happen because she suddenly starts pulling out a grappling hook from her dresser and action movie clothes. I don't know if this is ever hinted at in the other movies, but it came out of nowhere in this fucking movie.
Fucking, yeah. Like, apparently she grew up under the same situation as, like, the fucking Black Widow.
Yeah.
And then decided, like, fuck it, and then moved to the States to go to college and sing in an a cappella group.
This seems like a joke script. Like it would be the fake trailer on Saturday Night Live of Pitch Perfect 3 and they're jumping off of exploding yachts and some bullshit. Like this movie...
It's like that fake trailer for they did on Mad TV back in the 90s where it was Jason in space.
Yeah, and then years later, it came true.
And it still seems like a joke script.
Yeah. Hell, I mean, fuck, Medea Halloween started out because they thought the joke in Top 5 was funny, which it was, because that was a joke written by Chris Rock. And this movie was actively making me root against its heroes in several different ways. One, I wanted John Lithgow to get away with this.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I wanted him to kill at least one of those girls.
Yeah, I mean,
dealer's choice. I mean, I'm not a fan of Anna Kendrick, but I mean, I realize, like, she's, like, the lead of the movie, so, I mean, that one's out. But, I mean, past that, I mean...
Yeah.
You know, whatever, man. Go nuts.
Whichever one, man. I would much rather you have $180 million than your annoying daughter.
Slice one of them up and leave them in a fucking bathtub, man. I've seen Dexter.
Yeah, yes. I know what you do. Push her off a high place.
There's, like,
yeah.
There's, like, 10 of those bitches, like, you can just start, like, work down the line, man. Like,
come on, Trinity Killer.
There's a couple of them that apparently the joke is that they're just, like, they're there, but they have no purpose in the movie other than they need to have 10 of them, so there's 2 more. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's a joke that was set up before.
And I also liked Ruby Rose's, that's her name, right?
Yeah.
I also liked Ruby Rose's band better than theirs.
Yeah, Evil Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah,
Ever Moist.
Called Ever Moist. Okay. Like,
that's just a terrible title.
Yeah, but I like them
if
better.
If their band ever gets signed, like, their producer is gonna, like, okay, first thing, we're changing that.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Ruby Rose could pull it off. I did really like her in this. She's not given much to do, but she is cool.
I feel like that's the problem with every single thing I have seen Ruby Rose in, is that her main job is to look cool and just kind of be there because they're not going to give her anything to fucking do.
I did really like her in John Wick too.
No, she was great in John Wick.
Yeah.
But like at least 75% of what she was there for was to look really cool in those snazzy ass suits.
Which is if you're gonna have a character in an action movie that is there to look cool and be badass and have some screen presence, which she does have all of those things. A John Wick movie is a good one to do that in. I mean, it's like stylish and a half.
She's like in that Simpsons episode, like she's like the Yakuza guy in the white suit.
Yeah,
just fucking know he's gonna do something, but not when we're watching.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Like in John Wick 2, like I loved her, and that fight scene was fantastic between them. But you know, like there's a whole like movie's worth of cool shit that she was probably doing before the events of that movie.
Yeah.
And in this movie, like, honestly,
it's kind of the same way in this. I'd rather follow their band, sort of.
Yeah, it's like they seem like some interesting people, and I don't know, she's wearing these fucking insane suits that looks like she just stole like everything out of like Brandon Flowers or like Jack White's closet, and just like, these look nice, but could you tailor them smaller?
Yeah. Make it look like they're painted on.
It's like, no, I need this mariachi uniform. Oh, no, just to wear tomorrow. Cool.
There was one thing that the movie did that I thought was, like, fine story-wise, like, because it does one thing where I was like, wait, didn't we just see this in, like, Gem and the Holograms and also every other movie like this, where, like, they're like, no, the producer comes in and goes like, no, we don't want the entire group, we just want you. And it's like, what? But we're a family. No, just you. And I'm like, okay, fine, we're doing this again.
Poor man's Adam Scott over here played me that clip of you going, ooh, for 13 whole seconds. Yeah, what was that?
Just, ooh, all right, fine.
It's like he played me that. That convinced me you're the person that needs to open on my tour. It's like, you realize that she has zero material.
Yeah.
And you've heard, like, her solo work, like 30 seconds tops of her cooing into a microphone.
Meanwhile, Ruby Rose's band is
an actual band.
Yeah. It is better than just going ooh for 30 seconds. So,
although honestly, and I have to say honestly, of the 4 groups that were in this, if I was gonna pick one to be opening for a DJ / rapper like DJ Khaled, okay, there was those 2 guys that were a rap group, a like Western folk band,
yeah,
like they were doing everything other than playing like the washboard and jug. Ruby Rose's band, which seemed like any like power pop band. And then an a cappella group from a college that they used to go to.
Yeah.
It's like, if I had to pick one of those 4, that he would be like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, we're doing whatever this is, but I'm going to sign those 2 who are a rap group, because that only makes sense. It'd be like, we're performing for Garth Brooks. I'm like, oh, well, he's going to pick the Western folk band.
Yeah.
Again, it's the only choice that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, here's the Lumineers, and then coming up next, DJ Khaled.
Yes.
Perfect.
It's like when the Blues Brothers went to Bob's Country Bunker. I liked that. You think it's gonna go into this like 3rd act breakup between them where they're like, how could you betray us like this? And it doesn't. I did enjoy that
at least was surprising.
Yeah.
That usually that's like, I said I'm gonna sign, and then they all get pissed, and then they come back together. Yeah. You know, like in Jim and the Holograms.
Yeah, exactly like in that. Except in this, they go like, well, they said to her like, well, I mean, singing's kind of your dream. They're like, yeah, we're enjoying doing this, but like, look, I'm in veterinary school now, and like, you know, I got this other job over here. I got this other career I'm doing, and I was sat there like, for as cartoonish as this movie is, it got fairly realistic in the last 5 minutes.
I mean, granted, the rest of the Act 3 was, you know, a hostage movie.
Yeah.
Like it was like that episode of Friends where like the cookbook gets screwed up.
Oh.
Making that weird thing with like
the trifle.
Yeah, the peas and carrots and mashed potatoes and ladyfingers.
Yeah. That's true. It is. Just a couple of genres got fucking stuck together.
It's like, I feel like at some point later we're gonna end up seeing like this action film that the 3rd act is like the Expendables, you know, like gets to Act 3 and then all of them go separate ways because Stallone decides to like start his own thing.
If this movie somehow crosses over into the Expendables, that would be amazing.
They're talking about doing that all-female version. I mean, come on.
See? There you go.
You got this, you know, we're getting ready to have Ocean's 8. Like,
yeah.
It's the ladies' time to shine.
Yeah.
As long as you are mostly a white group.
Make it super graphic, like that last Rambo movie. They stumble upon into that fucking war zone with like pigs eating knee stumps. Oh, I'm hungry too. Okay. What, are you gonna be a cannibal now?
I'd be curious to watch.
Oh, I'd watch the fuck out of that. Then it would make sense that you and I are at this fucking movie. Any final words about this fucking movie?
Man, I really don't know. I still don't know half of what it is that we watched. Like, the whole movie is just jumbled, and none of the plot lines intersect in a way that makes sense or feel like they're earned.
Mm-hmm.
The whole third act is just a totally different fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's made out of inside jokes. The whole thing with, like, there being a competition and, like, setting up, like, their musical rivals is, like, Ruby Rose's band gets dropped immediately. It just never gone back to. It's just a fucking weird little movie where, like, I don't know, maybe I'd get more out of it if I'd seen the other two, but I don't feel like that's the case. I really don't.
I don't know how fans of the other two will react to this, so I can't really judge it in terms of that. And, you know, I expect going into a third part of something I haven't seen that there's probably going to be stuff in there that I'm not going to pick up on. I can't say I was ever really that confused, really, during this. Because any part where I, like, maybe could have been, like, I would have chalked it up to, like, okay, I haven't seen the other two. Or just that I didn't care that much, honestly. But
yeah, most who was like, what are they talking about? This is probably an inside joke. It seems like a callback.
I do know that this...
Like, I'm used to that from, like, the Step Up movies where it's like, oh, shit, this character. I'm like, guess he was in the other ones.
Yeah. I know that the first two movies got pretty solid reviews, and this one really isn't. I know that this is getting kind of dog shit reviews, so... but I don't know what the audience reaction is to this. I can tell you it was a packed theater and no one clapped at the end. Everyone just kind of left. And this seems like the kind of audience that would have clapped.
Well, and they kept doing, like, things throughout the, like, as the credits were starting, and then it seemed like there was going to be stuff running through the credits throughout. Mm-hmm. But as soon as we stood up and turned around, the house lights were already on, and half the theater had already left.
Yeah.
And these are the sort of people that usually sit around, like, to watch, like, you know, oh, they're still goofing.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't know, it did, when the core demographic didn't seem like they were into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Skip it. Skip this movie.
Plus, that just, and it was kind of like a getting too real moment at the end where they're all like, I'm in vet school, and, like everybody had, like, apparently amazing news, because when they left to do this USO tour, all of them agreed to do it because their lives were in shambles.
Uh-huh.
But then as they're, like, it's like, oh no, Anna Kendrick, you should totally take this amazing opportunity that you have never really, through the course of this film, seemed like you wanted at all. You were doing all of this begrudgingly. And then, like, suddenly everybody's like, it's like, oh, I didn't tell you, I'm secretly a millionaire. Uh-huh. Oh, I just got the call 5 minutes ago. I just got the job. Mm. Oh, I didn't tell you, I'm gonna expand my own franchise of stores. It's like, all of this happened to you guys, like, this morning? Like, everybody found out the best news ever today? Like, it's like one of those scenes in, like, a movie where it's like, oh yeah, I just got this call about something happening over in the abandoned warehouse district. Mm-hmm. Figured I'd check it out. I got 5 more minutes on the job before retire for good and go home. Finally take up that fishing trip I always talked about. It's like, oh, you dead bastard. You poor dead fuck. Oh, God. Well, you know, 2 more days till retirement, man.
Mendoza!
It's like, it felt like it was one of those scenes, and like then they step outside and they all get hit by one of, like, J.J. Abrams' buses out of nowhere. Like,
why not the villain in this movie is from one of those movies?
So it's like, I don't know, like, it felt like there was, like, it's like, shit, like, are all you guys about to die? Like,
well, they did say this was the last one, apparently.
Well, in that last scene with them performing was at that fucking big medieval looking ruins
Yeah.
that one scene from John Wick was at.
Yeah.
And Ruby Rose was there. I'm pretty sure that those two movies overlap, and soon, yeah, they're probably going to be dead in a hail of gunfire from a John Wick movie happening.
Now I'm even more excited for John Wick 3 than I already was.
He teams up with Rebel Wilson.
Because he hunts down the Bellas because Rebel Wilson ate his new dog.
Is Ian McShane like, I can't do anything more for you, but here's a tip.
I'm thinking I'm back. Alright,
He's back, pitches.
There's nothing, I know that, like, a lot of movies are just getting, like, scattered releases throughout the next couple of weeks. I think there's a couple of stuff that comes out within the next few days. Like, I'm pretty sure we're getting, like, All the Money in the World midweek, and I don't know what else. But, I think The Darkest Hour is playing in there. But, you know, it's that time of year. We'll see shit when we see shit. It's the holidays, so. Alright, everyone. Thanks a bunch for watching. Thanks, everyone in the chat. See you soon. Bye.